Mitsuri's strength, Shinobu's preciseness, Kanao's agility, and Nezuko's protectiveness. The women of Demon Slayer aren't just impressive, they are essential to the story. But there's a small historical detail about the time period this anime is set in that makes these characters even more fascinating. During the Taisho era, women were being encouraged to exercise for the first time. Not in extreme ways, just running, stretching, and learning how to move their bodies with purpose. For something that seems so ordinary today, this was a huge shift. It challenged deeply held ideas and beliefs about what women were supposed to look like and how they were supposed to move. And once you know that, Demon Slayer starts to feel completely different. This small piece of history gives the story another layer of depth that wasn't visible before. Demon Slayer is full of extreme physical training. People moving boulders, perfect breathing techniques, and pushing their bodies past human limits. The supernatural elements of the show make it so easy to forget the very real time period that the story was set in. The Taisho era was a time when Japan was rapidly modernizing. Western ideas about cultural, social, and political changes were permeating through the Japanese way of life. We can even see this hint of history in the Demon Slayer Mugen Train arc. The Mugen Train was a black steam locomotive, specifically inspired by the JGR Class 8620. This was Japan's first domestically mass-produced passenger steam engine. These modern changes also included ideas about different societal customs. Among those was the encouragement of physical education for women. Before this period, women exercising was often seen as improper or unfeminine. Even the clothing women wore, like restrictive kimonos, made movement very difficult. So the idea of women running, sweating, or even building strength wasn't just unusual, it was socially unacceptable. When physical education for women did start being introduced in girls' schools, it was framed very carefully. The article notes that exercise was promoted with slogans like healthy beauty or strong mothers create a strong nation. In other words, women were allowed to move their bodies, but only if it served the beauty, moral, or motherhood ideals of this Taisho society. Strength for its own sake? That was still suspicious and unacceptable. And this tells us something important. Society wasn't just regulating women's behavior, it was regulating how women were allowed to use their bodies. The hope for the advert was that if exercise aligned with the Taisho society's perception of how women should be, women would be encouraged to exercise, trying to keep the promotion in line with the society's values for women. This is where the idea of gender performance comes in. Philosopher Judith Butler described this term as the performative acts used to govern a normative society. Gender was described as something being performed, and in the Taisho era of Japan, women stepping into physical strength disrupted that performance. Women were supposed to be dainty and weak and submissive, while men were supposed to be active and strong. So the idea of women being encouraged to exercise challenged the gender performance of the Taisho society. Women exercising was seen as improper and even dangerous to a woman's virtue, as exercising often resembled a man's training. I find it really interesting that we can even see this happening in Mitsuri's storyline, as she was rejected for being strong and worried if she would be able to be loved because she did not line up with the beauty standards for the Taisho era. This piece of history makes the show's female demon slayers even more fascinating. Shinobu uses speed and precision rather than brute force, but her agility is still a form of athletic mastery. Kanao undergoes intense disciplined training, the very kind that was looked down on for women to go through. Nezuko sometimes undertakes the defined masculine role of protecting her brother after she's turned into a demon. And again, Mitsuri is physically stronger than most men, and her storyline directly touches on the fears of being unlovable because she doesn't fit the beauty standards. In a way, the anime reflects an alternate version of the Taisho period, and what the society could have looked like had women's physical strength and athleticism been embraced, of course in a more realistic sense. It is an interesting juxtaposition to see the female slayers standing amongst the best slayers, when in reality, women were still finding their physical freedom in the Taisho society. The anime exaggerates physical ability, but it also mirrors the era's themes of liberation, modernization, and redefining societal norms, in this case for women. It was great to examine this show and experience in history through an anthropology lens. Sometimes it's the smallest details that unlock the biggest shifts in how we see a story.